My husband abandoned me and our 10 kids. 20 years later, his karma was epic. You know, there's an old saying, you reap what you sow. I never put much stock in it. For a long time, I thought it was just something people said to make themselves feel better when life wasn't fair. When you're 38 years old, suddenly alone, and you have 10 children looking at you for dinner, fair isn't a word you use. You're too busy surviving. I'm Alara. I'm 60 years old, a mother, a grandmother, and a woman who, for a very long time, was known in my old town as the one who got left. My ex-husband, Arthur, was a piece of work. He thought he was the smartest man in the world. He thought he'd planned the perfect crime. And he did, but he forgot one tiny detail. He forgot that the trap you build to keep other people out can just as easily become the prison you lock yourself into. I haven't thought about him in years, not really. My life is full. My kids are grown. My grandkids are insane and I love them, and then last Tuesday my phone rings. It's my oldest son, James, and he tells me a story, and I had to laugh. It's the story of Arthur, his wife Marlene, and a surgeon. And it's the most perfect, beautiful, epic piece of karma I have ever heard in my entire life. So let me tell you what really happened. I met Arthur when I was 19. He was handsome, you know. He had that salesman charm that could talk you into anything. And I was 19, I didn't know any better. I thought that charm was deep. It wasn't, it was just a tool. We got married. We started a life. And we had children. And we had 10 children, yes, 10. James, then Mary, then the twins Thomas and Peter, and on, all the way down to my youngest, Sarah. Our house was a madhouse. It was loud, it was messy, it was nonstop. And I loved it. I was in the weeds, you know? Just diaper, feed, homework, cook, clean, sleep, repeat. Arthur was a good provider. I'll give him that. His business was taking off. We had a nice house, a good car. We were comfortable and I was too busy. I was too busy to see what was happening right next door. The neighbor, Marlene. She moved in and she was everything I wasn't. I was milk stains and exhaustion. She was red lipstick, red nails, and tight sweaters. Divorced, no kids. And she had a lot of time on her hands. She'd come over, always around the time Arthur got home from work. "Oh, Alara," she'd purr. "I just baked a pie and it's far too much for little old me. I thought your kids might like some." And she'd hand me the pie, but her eyes were on Arthur, and Arthur, he'd just eat it up. He'd stand up straighter. He'd put on that slick salesman smile. "Well now, Marlene, that is just so neighborly of you." "Isn't that neighborly, Alara?" And I'd nod, and I'd say thank you, and I'd go back to wiping a nose or a countertop. I felt it. You always do. That little cold knot in your stomach. But I pushed it down. I told myself I was being stupid. I mean, who would be dumb enough to run off with a man who had 10 children? I was asking the wrong question. She wasn't interested in a man with 10 children. She was interested in a man with a successful business, a man who could be convinced to leave those 10 children behind. The day it happened was just a Tuesday. I got the big kids on the bus. The little ones were playing on the floor. Sarah, my baby, was just 2. I went upstairs to make our bed and I saw it, a white envelope on his pillow. Just my name. Alara. You know, in the movies, when this happens, the world stops. It doesn't. The kids were still yelling downstairs. The washing machine was still running. It was just a piece of paper. My hands didn't even shake. I was just cold. I opened it. It wasn't some long, flowery, "I'm so sorry" letter. It was Arthur. It was a memo. It said, "I'm sorry. I'm not happy. I deserve to be happy. I'm gone. Don't try to find me." That was it. I deserved to be happy. I walked to his closet. It was empty. His suits, his shoes, his suitcase. Gone. I ran out to the driveway. His car, gone, and I looked next door. At Marlene's house. It was quiet. Too quiet. Later that day, a for sale sign went up. They'd left. Together. He didn't just leave me, he left James, who was 14. He left Mary, who was 12. He left the twins. He left all of them. All the way down to Sarah, who was 2. He abandoned 10 children for the woman in the red sweater. The next few weeks, that's when the real story starts. That's when I found out what kind of man I was really married to. It wasn't just an affair. It wasn't just a midlife crisis, it was a plan. A cold, calculated financial execution. The first thing, of course, was the money. I went to the bank. Our joint account was cleaned out. He'd taken every last penny. I was left with a mortgage I couldn't pay and 10 hungry kids. I got a lawyer. A kind old man named Mr. Henderson. He was furious. He took my case for almost nothing. He said, "Alara, we're going to get him. We'll get him for child support. We'll get him for everything." He tried. He really did. We found out they'd fled to Florida. They'd crossed state lines specifically to get away from the courts, to make it harder to serve him. And that's when Mr. Henderson found the truth. He'd sold his business months before he left, secretly. And the new house they bought in Florida? The brand new car? The new boat? The investments? Every single thing was in Marlene's name. Mr. Henderson sat me down in his office. He looked gray. He said, "Alara, I don't know how to tell you this. He's made himself judgment-proof. On paper, your husband is a pauper. He has nothing. It's all hers. There's nothing we can go after. He did this to make sure you and those children would never see a dime. He planned to abandon his children. He planned to leave them with nothing, the malice. The coldness of that. It's one thing to be a cheater. It's one thing to be a coward. It's another thing to look at your 2-year-old daughter's face and actively plot to make sure she has no food, no home, no future, just so you can have a boat. I stood up from Mr. Henderson's desk. I stopped crying. It was like a switch flipped anger. No, it was cold. It was ice. I said, "Thank you, Mr. Henderson, I understand." And I walked out because I realized I was completely, totally and utterly on my own. And I had 10 children to raise. So, I did. I didn't have the luxury of falling apart. I didn't have time to be a victim. I sold the big house. I had to. We moved into a tiny 3-bedroom apartment in the worst part of town. 5 boys in one room, 5 girls in the other, and I slept on the living room couch for 18 years. I worked. I got a job on the night shift at the hospital scrubbing floors. I'd come home just in time to get the kids on the bus. I'd sleep for 4 hours while they were at school, and then I'd be up to cook dinner. I took in laundry. I ironed other people's shirts until my hands were raw. It was hard. God, it was hard. There were Christmases with no presents. There were holes in their shoes. There were nights when dinner was just rice and ketchup. But you know what? We were okay. We had each other. My kids are amazing. They were forged in that fire. They raised each other. My James, my oldest, he became the man of the house at 14. He got a job bagging groceries just so he could buy milk for his little sisters. My Mary, she cooked, she cleaned. She was a second mother. We were a team. We were a fortress. And Arthur? We never said his name. He wasn't Dad. He was that man. He was a ghost. A non-entity. A bad story. I erased him, and we thrived. 22 years went by. My children grew up. And they remembered. They remembered the struggle. And it made them strong. It made them work. My James is a teacher, a high school principal now. My Mary is a nurse. An ER nurse. She saves lives. My Thomas is a firefighter. Peter's an accountant. Michael's an engineer. All of them. All 10 of them are good, decent, hardworking people. They all went to college. On scholarships. On work study. They earned it. They got married. They had kids. My grandkids and me, I saved. I saved every single penny I ever made, and I bought this house. The one I'm sitting in right now, it's big. It's got a huge yard. It's paid in full, and every Sunday it is chaos. It's loud, and it's messy, and it's full of life. My life. The life I built. I won. I hadn't heard from Arthur in more than 2 decades. I didn't care about him. Why would I? He was a bad decision I made when I was 19. And then last Tuesday, the phone rings. It's James, and he sounds weird. He says, "Mom, you sitting down?" My heart just stops. When you're a mother of 10, that's the worst question. Who is it? Is it the kids? Is someone hurt? And James laughs. But it's this strange choked sound. He says, "No, Mom, everyone's fine." It's him. It took me a second. Him? Arthur? James says. He called me. My blood ran cold. What did he want? He was crying, Mom, James said. Crying. He wants money. He wants to come home. I just couldn't speak. And then James told me. He told me the whole story. See, Arthur, he'd been trapped for 20 years. That ironclad, judgment-proof plan of his worked perfectly. He'd put everything in Marlene's name. The house, the cars, the bank accounts, all of it. He did it to hide it from me. But in doing so, he gave it to her. He had no power. He had no leverage. He wasn't her husband. He was her possession. And Marlene, she knew it. She held it over his head. For 20 years, he was her allowance boyfriend. He was the man who lived in her house. And then, a few years ago, she got bored. She started cheating on him. Oh yeah, with a surgeon. A younger, richer surgeon. Let's call him Dr. Burke. And Marlene, she wasn't even hiding it. She was flaunting it. James said Arthur told him she brought Dr. Burke to their house. To her house. She made Arthur watch. She made him a cuckold. For years, she'd make Arthur serve them drinks while they sat by her pool. She laughed at him. James said Arthur was sobbing on the phone. He said, I told her I was leaving. And Marlene, she just laughed in his face. She said, leave? Go ahead, Arthur. Go. Leave. Oh, but wait. You can't, can you? You have nothing. You have no money. You have no job. You are nothing on paper. This is my house, Arthur. My money, my life. You walk out that door, you walk out with the clothes on your back. Just like you planned. He was trapped. Completely. Utterly. The exact cage he had built to lock me and my children out. He was now locked inside. And so now, after 2 decades, he was calling his firstborn son. The boy he abandoned. And he was begging for a bus ticket. Begging to come home. I just sat there. On my porch. I looked at my garden, and I asked James. My voice was very, very quiet. What did you say to him, honey? And my son, my good boy James. His voice was just ice. He said, I told him. I said, home? What, home? You don't have a home, Arthur. You abandoned us? You left us for nothing? You chose this. You made your bed? You can lie in it, or on the floor, or wherever Marlene tells you to lie. You are nothing to us. Do not ever call this family again. And then James just hung up. And he blocked the number. And that was it. We never heard from him again. I'm sure he's still down there, trapped, pathetic. He put all his faith in money. He used it as a weapon. And in the end, it was the weapon that destroyed him. I put my faith in love, in work, in my children, and I'm sitting here, in my house. My grandkids are about to come over and demand cookies. My life is full. So you tell me, who is the rich one? You reap what you sow. It turns out that's not just something people say. It's the truth. It just sometimes takes 20 years. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go preheat the oven.